All right, thank you and welcome to Sunrise School Division regular board meeting for April the 6th. I'm going to call our meeting to order. We're going to have O Canada from Centennial School. Please stand if you can do so. Thank you to Centennial School, and clearly Centennial School are Jets fans, and certainly the rendition of O Canada was quite good. So thanks, pass that along, Kath, for us. 1.3 is our treaty acknowledgement, and Trustee Inslee is going to read our treaty acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honour our partnership with Canada's Original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Inslee. For the public, just knowing is that we have our 9 trustees here with us, as well as Superintendent Timko, Assistant Superintendent Julian, our Secretary Treasurer Carlton, and Stacy Bonato is our board support. So thanks for joining us here. A reminder in 3.1 is to send all your questions to send all your questions to Scott Carlton, S. Carlton at Sunrise SD. Name and address of the sender must.
Paul, you're muted.
So I've been doing lots of talking, and thanks for letting me know for the last 10 minutes that I'm talking away here. A great rendition of certainly O Canada by Centennial School. So we'll have the adoption of the agenda. So it's an action item. So I need someone to make a motion. Please be it resolved that the board approve the agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by
Pachkowski motions.
Moved by Trustee Pachkowski, seconded by
Harris.
Harris. Thank you. Any questions to the motion? Hearing none, we'll vote. We're just waiting on Trustee Rowland. Thank you. It passed 9-0. Chair's comments 3.1, a reminder to send all questions to scarlton@sunrisesd.ca for if you have any questions that come up for the meeting, so that we'll answer them later on in the meeting. 3.2, just to inform the public, is that we did have an emergency meeting last week, and we needed to have the emergency meeting to deal with Scott. It was a debenture that we needed to go ahead and vote. It's going to come up in the minutes. It's going to come up in 5.2 on the agenda, where we're going to go ahead and vote and give you some information about it. But we just to give you a heads up, we did have an emergency meeting last week. 3.3 is talking about share a story. Any trustees want to share a story? Floor is open. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. We have a board delegation, and Scott, I'm going to get you to introduce who we have tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So we do operational delegations to the board to provide you some information on a periodic basis. I think pretty much everybody in the room has met our maintenance manager, Derek Ryback. Derek has some information tonight that I've asked him to bring on ongoing projects in the division, anything from waxing the floors to replacing an entire HVAC system to building a new wing onto the school. Derek is pretty much responsible for all of that. So thanks, Derek. I'm going to be Derek's assistant, and I'm going to try to get his papers onto the screen. So give me a moment here, Derek, and once you see your presentation, you're good to go. Okay, I think you should be up there, Derek. You're good to go. Derek, can you hear me? Derek, I don't know if you're muted.
He's not muted, Scott.
Okay, he's texted me he's on. Derek, can you let us know you're there?
How's that? Can you guys hear me?
There you go, Derek.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
Right on.
Thanks. Okay, I've got your presentation up on the screen, Derek, and you should be good to go.
Okay. Sunrise School Division consists of 13 schools, excluding non-school buildings, business center, education center, and transportation departments, totaling about 860,000 square feet. We have also 6 colony schools within our division. However, the colony schools are responsible for their own maintenance. 11 of our 13 schools were built in early 1960s, and therefore significant maintenance is required at these sites. All the projects we are prioritized according to safety, building operation needs, and budget to help perform preventive measures that will prolong the life of building components to prevent major capital expenditures in the future. Central Services is formerly Public Schools Finance Board. Now it's called Central Services, Province of Manitoba, for Sunrise School Division. We have some projects that are on the go. Oakbank Elementary, we have electric duct heater replacement along with a partial roof replacement and millwork in the south wing of the school. Budget amount $820,000. The project is approximately 98% complete. Edward Schreier School Phase 2 heating, ventilation, air conditioning replacement. Project consists of replacement of classroom ventilators, installation of a new chiller, replacement of 5 existing rooftops, new suspended ceiling and LED lighting, and replacement of millwork in 19 classrooms. The contract for this project is $2.9 million, awarded to Red Lake Construction. HSB Engineering is the project lead for this. We have received divisional funding from Central Services in the amount of $76,500 for additional 20 refrigerated water bottle filling stations. Springfield Collegiate, the 1960 East Wing and exterior wall, along with the mechanical system upgrade, is taking place. We have Arnie Cooper from Cooper Rankin Architects is the lead for this project, working along with our engineer, HSB Engineering. The estimated cost for this project is $5.25 million. Sunrise School Division has received funding from formerly PSFB and now again Central Services in an excess amount of $50 million since 2002. Capital D, major repairs and replacements and daily maintenance. The province provides us grant monies annually to school divisions for Capital D projects to finance preventive maintenance measures to prolong the life of school buildings, and remaining dollars to meet budget are funded by the school division. Total budget for Capital D and the day-to-day maintenance is $1.66 million. To date, we have spent $1.268 division-wide. Some of the Capital D projects currently underway or completed in Sunrise are as follows. Hazelwood School, as mandated by the Manitoba Drinking Water Officer, we were mandated to install ultraviolet water treatment system. It should be up and operating within the end of this week. Divisional, as everyone is aware, due to the COVID, we installed glass rock barriers for secretarial workstations throughout the division. Divisional fire damper inspections and repairs are indicated in the report throughout the division. We had deficiencies that we had to deal with, and they're ongoing. We have a divisional roofing maintenance program in place. Currently, the roofing maintenance has taken place as the weather has been favorable since the last couple weeks. So we jumped on that a little bit earlier than usual. Centennial School and Springfield Collegiate and Parview, we've done some fire alarm and intrusion alarm upgrades. The old bus garage in Beausejour, we installed a 2-foot overhang on the north side of the building and installed synthetic roof underlayment along with shingle replacement. Divisional, excluding the business center, video intercom systems, we're looking at going divisional wide. And I think one of the great things about that is that we're going to be able to have a secure building when visitors and parents enter our facilities. They're going to see that they're being viewed on this intercom system. So it makes our buildings more secure, in my opinion. Divisional door fob access control is also part of this program. We'll be having access control, which the school administrators will be able to program scheduled times open and closing of doors. Anola Lochtabonnie Senior, Springfield Collegiate and Whitemouth upgrade existing security alarm monitoring systems as they've been giving us a little bit of problems. They are becoming age expired, so we're addressing those issues. Springfield Middle School, replace boiler sections and classroom heaters. Springfield Middle School, we had added additional 24 lockers. And we're looking at divisional camera maintenance throughout our division as the cameras, again, they've been in the works for about 12 years, and so they're showing some issues with the cameras we're experiencing. And so it's quite a bit of maintenance dollars being spent on that. And Parview, in the summer, we've done in 2020, we've done an office upgrade. The increase in our general day-to-day maintenance costs are associated with the life expectancy of major components of our buildings as shown below. Many of our buildings have already exceeded these timelines and therefore require significant preventive maintenance. HVAC systems have a life expectancy of about 25 years. Components of the HVAC system, which is hard to determine what the life expectancy is, and we know we look at 25 years. We know that there, at any given time, we can have problems with boilers, sectionals failing on them. We can have heat pumps, rooftop units failing. There's a assortment of things that play a big factor, and it's hard to prepare a budget for things like that you don't have a crystal ball to see or read into. Dust collectors, we have been doing quite a bit of maintenance of dust collectors. We have a few sites in our division, Parview, Springfield Middle School, Edward Charter School, Lochtabarney Senior School, that we're maintaining dust collectors. Roofs includes all types of roofs that we've been looking at doing, again, going back to our preventive maintenance. We've been doing a very good preventive maintenance program for the past few years, and we are seeing less and less roof leaks throughout our division. The following areas have been identified as being the highest priority items to prolong the life of our buildings. Again, it's roofing repairs, maintenance, repairs and upgrades, floor care, cleaning system, floor stripper, wax equipment to maintain the floors, etc. Ultraviolet water filtration system, plumbing upgrades such as washroom fixtures, toilets and toilet partitions and sinks, electrical upgrades, electrical panels, and distribution breakers and lighting replacement. Mechanical upgrades, heating valves, air conditioning, building control operations are an ongoing maintenance item. Exterior replacement of doors and windows and brick repointing, flooring replacement, repairing roadways and walkways, security system upgrades, fire alarms and cameras. Since March of 2020, we, the maintenance department, have been dealing with the COVID-19 crisis in our division along with all other staff. Our custodial staff have been at the front line the frontline workers in our division from the first day and have been committed to helping our students and staff by ensuring that our buildings remain sanitized and clean at all times. Our staff must determine what needs to be cleaned and work as a team to determine how to efficiently clean and sanitize high-touch areas between class changes. The custodial staff in each school were creative in finding efficient ways to complete tasks effectively and quickly during sanitizing timelines provided. COVID-related costs to date are approximately $241,000 for personal protective equipment, cleaning, sanitizing supplies, and equipment such as hand sanitizers and gloves and masks. The government is providing us masks at no charge. I'd like to thank the custodial team for the dedication and hard work to ensure the students and staff during this unprecedented time. The entire staff actually of Sunrise Schools have done an excellent job dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. Kudos to everybody involved, because it's bigger than what we all anticipated with this virus, and everybody has stepped up to the plate and are doing a very good job and doing their part to keep everybody safe. And we have, we'll be bringing to the board, I believe, a board meeting for April 20th is the 5-year capital plan. The capital plan, I don't anticipate many big changes. As you can see, if you look at our priority list on there, I'm not sure, Scott, if you have it on there or not. Maybe.
Give me 1 second here, Derek, and I can definitely get it up. There we go.
So we have there two highlighted areas where we're looking at the two projects, meaning they're highlighted for the reason that they are in the process of being either in the works, like Edward Schreier, the HVAC replacement of phase 2, and Springfield Collegiate, we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, the exterior wall and wall replacement, along with the HVAC system and throughout the building of the east wing. One of the main goals, I guess, that we have, it's been challenging for us, and it's on our list and of high priority, is the Hazelwood School. We require a stair lift in that facility, as you can't get from the main floor to the gym, so it makes it very difficult for people that have restrictions, if there's an event going on, to get down to the facility to do it for any kind of presentations that's being done by the students. And I guess the other items on there, we have still Oakbank Elementary on the list for a partial wall replacement in the 1965 section. And you'll see on the list a lot of things related to science labs identified, and boiler replacement for Whitemouth, and we're looking at some dust collector upgrades. So again, I'm just going to be reviewing all the things within our division, items with our division that become a higher priority item. we may have this list, but things change as time goes on, because it seems like we put things on this. We know it's anywhere from 4 to 6 years where we can see the province would assist us in funding these items. But what happens, it may get bumped up. We try to prolong things as long as we can, but we also at the same time have to identify when they become crucial. And I can, in saying that, Springfield Collegiate is a very good example. That's been on our plan for the last 9 years. And finally, it came to a point that we decided that the province, working with the province, it was time for us to take that project on. So that's all I have.
Thanks,
Any
Derek.
questions?
You almost kept it to 10 minutes. Thanks. Any questions for Mr. Ryback?
Derek, thanks for going ahead and doing this. I have a question for you. One of the things that you talked about on your maintenance listing here was talking about our video entry system, Intercom systems,
Yes.
about $172,000. So this has been on the board's agenda for a little while. Where are we with getting this completed?
Well, we're just reviewing some of the things. We're still fine tuning the video intercom systems, the placement of them. Some of the staff are looking at, the school administrators are looking at different things such as door access controls, and we have a vendor that is secured. Our goal is to have this completed by June 30th.
Thank you. Anyone else for Derek?
Trustee
Aye.
Duma here.
Oh,
Sorry,
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
I noticed we don't have any hands we can put up in this public meeting, so hopefully I can butt in.
That's fine.
Thank you, Derek, for your presentation. I guess I noticed the ultraviolet for Hazel Ridge.
Yes.
When did that come about? That's new to me.
That came about, we received notice from the Manitoba Conservation or the Water Stewardship. I believe we have a year to have this in place, but it's getting very difficult to find the parts, the items required to have this UV light system operational. So we contacted everybody earlier, and we decided to do it this year before June 30th.
So does the Hazel Ridge water have the same issue that the Oak Bank did? Is that why?
What's happened, the province is enforcing anybody that has a well on school property will be forced to be within a year to be hooked up to some kind of a water UV light system or whatever chlorination system.
Okay, thank you. And one other question, how many buildings do we have that are not used as education buildings? How many just shacks buildings do we have?
You're kind of
Responsible for?
Okay, you're kind of broken up. I only got half of that, I'm sorry.
How many buildings do we have that are not used for students that we are still responsible for, whether they're a work shed or, like, I know we just buildings that we're responsible for?
Well, we have enormous, we have a few storage facilities in our division. Almost every site has a storage facility. It could be a 14 by 24 building. We have the old transportation garage in Beausejour. It's being used for storage, and we also have the transportation garage in Oak Bank that's being used for storage and also for transportation with their busing during the winter months. And also we have some educational things going on in that facility as well. We have Empower, well, that's education center. I think education center, business center, that's about it. I don't think I'm missing anything.
So we're responsible for all the adult centers also in terms of maintenance?
No, just for Empower.
Just for Empower. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
We own the building.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for Derek?
Yeah, Trustee Barry, got just one quick question for Derek.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Derek. Very informative. Just the
welcome.
one question I got is how much of the HVAC has been completed at Edwardshire?
At Edwardshire, how much is going to be completed or is completed?
Is completed, and when will it get finished?
Okay, so what we have is completed to date is that we have the boiler replacement that was done last year in the summer, and this year our goal is to have everything phase 2 completed, the final phase, completed by September 1st. That will include all the rooftop units and the whole entire school will be air conditioned.
All right, great, thank you.
Anyone else for Derek?
Harris.
Go ahead, Trustee Harris.
Thank you, Derek, for that presentation. In past years, pre-COVID, trustees have had the opportunity to have tours of different facilities, which have been excellent. We had a discussion just before you came on. We were to have a tour next week, which we scheduled some time back, but because of COVID, that won't be possible. Well, what do you think the feasibility is of you giving us a virtual tour of 2 or 3 sites where you took a camera or a laptop or something and walked around a school and gave the trustees a virtual tour of a couple of places?
I think that is something that I'll probably have to have ICT involved with me to do such a presentation. I think it's a great idea. There's lots of great things happening in the division from the project side of things that I think that it's unfortunate you can't see what's going on, particularly like a UV light systems going on in Asia. That's a simple thing that we can video. There's the Edward Shire School project, and there's a planning of the SCI project that's going on. So a lot of great things going on. It's just the time setting this up and having somebody do a walk with me and making sure we can make this presentation as best as we can for you all.
Thank you. We were supposed to be scheduled for next Thursday. That's a little too soon to get that done, isn't it, Derek?
Yes.
Pulling your leg.
Yes.
No, we've already discussed that can't happen, but we were curious as to the feasibility, and it sounds like you're open to that idea. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
So next Thursday might not work, but next Friday probably will work. So thanks, Robin, for suggesting that he get on that. Is there anything else for Derek? Anyway, Derek, thanks very much for coming and presenting to us and showing us that information. I do know that later on in the agenda, it's got the 5-year capital updates. You talked a little bit about it. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about it when we get there, but thanks very much for going ahead and doing that. The trustee tour thing that Trustee Harris is talking about is something that we would like to see how we can certainly get into the schools, whether it's yourself or a school administrator, to take us around the school or talk to us about each site, how things are going, would be very informative. So think about how that can go.
Okay, we'll do.
Thanks very much, Derek. You're more than welcome to stay, but we're going to move on.
Okay, thank you.
So we have 5.1 minutes of March 16th. So be it resolved that the board adopt the March 16th minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by
Pachkowski.
Trustee Pachkowski, seconded by
Reed.
Trustee Reed. Thank you. Any questions to it?
Yes.
Go ahead, Trustee Nicol.
There was an amendment to a motion. Could the amendment come before the motion? Because that's usually what happens. There was a motion and an amendment, and when you start reading it, it's better to have them. The amendment is always voted on first, and then the motion voted on second. So it'd be nice to have that in the just flip-flop it.
Can you tell us the number, Don?
No, not yet. I did this by memory.
Stacy, do you know what he's talking about?
Yes, Stacy would know.
Is this the, Don, is this the meeting in person discussion?
8.5.
Right.
So 8.5, what we're saying is that
I made the resolution before the motion, so therefore in the minutes the amendment should be first and then the motion.
Okay, can you make that change for us, Stacy?
Yeah, I just want to draw attention. I just listened to the tape again today, and actually the motion was tabled first with the mover and a seconder, and then there was no vote on it though, and then Don came in with the amendment. So does it still go before the first motion then? I just want to be clear.
Well, according to Robert's rules, the amendment comes, the motion is voted on first, comes first, and then usually you vote on the amendment and then you vote on the motion. So the amendment should come first before the motion.
Yeah, you will have to show, Stacy, that the amendment is before the motion. Can you do that? Stacy, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. Like I said, the voting itself only like for the actual motion happened after the amendment, but the original motion was tabled first. So that's why I put that in the minutes, but I can just flip it around if that's the way it's supposed to be.
So 8.5 says we revisited the thing, and so there was a motion, but the motion didn't pass until we had an amendment to the motion. The amendment got defeated, and then we had the motion passed. That's what Dawn is getting at.
That is correct, yes.
So I do think that it is true that you've shown that the motion is down there. We should put in that there was an amendment. We voted on the amendment and then we voted on the actual motion.
Okay, I'll just change it on the minutes.
Thank you. Any others?
Trustee Duma, just on 4.1, I wonder if we could please attach the name of the SCO. And not just as in some of them we having the name of the person who's presenting, we have attached it in a couple of the other items. So it would be SCO presentation and then / her name. You have operational presentation, you've got Jason Lang. You could do the same thing with SCO presentation - Crystal and then put her name in. So in addition to 4.1, and then 5.1, the minutes were adopted with corrections. So the motion is actually not written properly because there were corrections made. Be it resolved that the board adopt the March 2nd, 2021 board meeting minutes with corrections is how it should read.
Thank you, Diane.
And some of the other stuff, we'll have to take that for another day as we move forward with our minutes. There's some pieces in here that
so we'll get to it in minutes committee to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So let's move forward with voting on the adoption of the minutes as we amended them. Dan, we're waiting on you to vote. So 7 were in favor, 1 was opposed, and 1 abstained. Thank you. Let's go on to the emergency meeting minutes of March 23rd. Be it resolved that the board adopt the March 23rd emergency board meeting minutes. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by
Roland.
Trustee Rowland, seconded by
Harris.
Trustee Harris. Any questions on the minutes?
who took the minutes? I'm just curious.
Scott, you'd have to answer that.
Yeah, I believe Stacy actually cobbled them together from a combination of both what Kathy and I took in terms of notes from that evening.
True.
Any questions on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote.
I'm sorry, I know you've called for the vote, but I'm just curious as to when we have emergency meetings that we don't put in there that this motion is coming forward to the regular meeting. And I didn't see that in the minutes. I'm just wondering.
So that we'll take that up with the meeting minutes committee as to where we are. I hear what you're saying. We are voting and we're waiting on you to vote now. So 9 are in favor. Thank you very much. Where am I? Superintendent's report. Kathy, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to just actually draw a couple of highlights to the report. Sort of the biggest piece of information is that the province of Manitoba has presented the education review that they were undertaking over the past year and a bit, and just some highlights from there in terms of what those implications might be for our school division. The biggest piece right now is that from April to June, the government has committed to doing consultations with stakeholders and staff and parents, and so keeping our ears open and our eyes open for where those opportunities are for consultation. There is a website there where people can click on, and any of those consultation opportunities are there where we can automatically let the government know what it is we think about their proposed amendments to the K-12 education system. They are not anticipating having a roadmap with concrete items or dates until September. So they have committed to those consultations in April and June, having a roadmap in September, and then anticipated passing of legislation called Bill 64, or the Education Modernization Act, in November. So that's a pretty big piece on the radar right now in terms of impact across the province for education. There is still travel advisories and some cottage country reminders about restrictions in place with COVID. So we've included a couple of websites just in terms of folks that are traveling to second properties, particularly in other provinces. So that's there. Both the Canadian website and the provincial website give some folks some ideas about what they need to do if that is something that they're doing. We did share that with all of our families and all of our staff prior to spring break, just so that everybody was in the know. There is, if we're listening to the news and watching, some big concerns about a third wave and some of the variants of concern entering schools. So we are up to speed on what our protocols would need to be if we should have a variant of concern in our schools. I think the biggest implication for our families are that if we do have either a diagnosis of someone with a variant and the close contacts of that variant, there could be a quarantine of anywhere from 10 up to 24 days. So someone could be quarantining for the 14-day period plus another 10 days on top of that if they don't go for testing. And that's not just the student or the staff member, that's entire households that have to isolate. So it is really important for us to stay vigilant and to stick to it and follow all of those protocols and health directives that we have just to try and keep everybody safe. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of those pieces for folks, and if there are questions, please let me know.
Any questions for Kathy? Kathy, the only thing that I want to add to the conversation that you have is our board has invited our 4 MLAs to a conversation, certainly with the board, with regard to the release of the kindergarten to grade 12 education review. We've heard from Minister Schuler that they're looking at meeting dates, but we haven't heard from anyone else. So we don't have any commitment from any of them to meet with us. We've just heard back that from Minister Schuler's office that they've got our request and we're waiting to hear. But our board has asked that to meet with the 4 ministers. Thank you.
Great addition. Thanks, Paul.
Anyone else have anything for Kathy?
Trustee Duma.
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
I see that these reports are really reflective of what's going on provincially and a little less about what's going on within Sunrise School Division. So my question would be for the board to consider making a request that we have information coming back to the board on some of the education things that are going on in Sunrise School Division, especially when we're looking at students making choices for the next year in terms of subject areas and moving to other schools. How did it work with our kids going to vocational programming in other school divisions? How did our kids do transitioning into grade 9 from grade 8? What are we looking at for June report cards? What sort of concerns were raised about the learning that happened because of COVID? So there's just lots of questions that I'd like to have more information, just that is Sunrise based in terms of how we've managed the COVID year in terms of our learning for students. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Do you know what, Trustee Duma? You're a little bit ahead of us on the agenda because 8.8 talks about board reports. Kind of what we just heard from Colleen in the work that we're doing with Colleen is that board reports is down there for us to start discussing what kind of reports are we looking for back from senior administration. And you started talking about that, but that's keep that as we go to 8.8 board reports. It's really for us to discuss what we're looking for. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. Anything else for Trustee? I mean, for Superintendent Timko? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to Secretary Treasurer Carlton. Floor is yours.
Thanks, Paul. I'll note just in reference to Trustee Duma's last question, Paul's comment. I've been doing a bit of work trying to figure out how better to prepare reports. You guys will see the fruits of some of that tonight if you've had a chance to review. My report is a lot longer, but hopefully, you know, a little more easier to digest. That's one of the things in one of our learning sessions that I picked up from the way other divisions do things. And you know, it will be a bit of a work in process, and certainly we don't have to have this discussion now, but if you have feedback on how it looks or how you would prefer to see my report, please, by all means, I'm happy to take that feedback and incorporate it into my reports going forward. So the first time I changed this a bit, I've given you a sort of a bit of a fact sheet on each of the departments that sort of fall under my purvey: maintenance, IT, finance, and transportation. Just some facts on the number of staff employed, certainly how they're doing against budget for the year, some other facts and figures in terms of maintenance, how many square feet they maintain of facilities, in terms of transportation, how many kilometers they do per year, and then a little piece on some of the initiatives under each department. That's where I'll spend just a couple moments of my time. Thanks again to Derek for presenting tonight and giving us an idea of the ongoing things. Two of the things that he mentioned to draw attention were the water bottle filling stations, for which we have received approval for provincial funding. So they've been ordered and I believe may have been delivered already. So you know, we're looking at doing some electrical and getting those installed. And then the other piece is the video intercom systems, which was identified as a pretty high priority by administrators across the division. So we're looking at that to enhance security at our facilities. IT's been crazy busy with some issues we had recently. Obviously, with our student information system, we've mentioned that a couple of times, all back to normal and operating, and students will be getting report cards. So good job, Gord, staying on that. Thank you to IT. We've started to install some lightning mitigation measures at some of the Wi-Fi towers across the division. If you'll recall, back in the fall, our tower at Oakbank was hit by a lightning strike, which caused some pretty significant damage and a pretty major insurance bill. So our insurance claim, pardon me. And working with Power BI to hopefully analyze data in terms of what comes out of our student information system, specifically marks, demographics, things like that. So those are a couple of the big projects undergoing, ICT is undergoing right now. Transportation, I think this is of interest. You're happy to note that Jason, our manager over at transportation, has received one demo for a client parent app, GPS app, that would give an indication of where those buses are on the highway and hopefully enhance a bit of the service we provide to parents for pickup and at home and drop off at schools. Engine repairs and transportation complete. So thank you for the approval from the board. I'll pass that on behalf of Jason, and appreciate the fact that we've got 5 still operating buses that we can add to our spare pool. We were getting a little tight when those were down. In terms of finance, we've had preliminary meetings now with our new auditors, MNP. We'll be ready to go to work on, first and foremost, is our annual salary disclosure report, which has been provided to them for review and audit. That needs to be on our website coming up, I believe, by April 30th. So we'll get that complete and provided back to the board for information when it's completed by MNP. Susan and her team in finance do a great job of certainly taking the budget as approved by the board, sort of translating that into a pretty complex frame template that's required by the province. So that's all been complete now and sent to the province by March 31st, as well as municipal tax notices to the municipalities by the 15th of March. So those are the things I'll highlight, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Scott, nice work on the work that you've done on your Secretary Treasurer's report. Kind of new look and some information there. So thanks for putting the effort into that. Any questions for Scott?
Pachkowski.
Go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just want to echo your comments, Mr. Chairman, that there's a lot of work that went into this report. I really appreciate it as a trustee, and it wasn't even something that we necessarily asked for from Scott. So I just want to thank him for the work he's done, for listening at the table and really trying to guess at what it is sometimes that we want. And so I really commend him on doing that, because there isn't a lot of clarity sometimes. So thank you, Scott, very much. And I really appreciate the work that went into that report.
Any other
questions?
Go ahead, Karen.
I just think it'd be useful with all the work that's gone into the PowerPoint and the thousands of people that are watching us, if you actually put the presentation up on the screen and go through it. Is that doable? It just would be a great visual in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
So I think that, Karen, it is available online for people. I'm not so sure that we need to go through minute by stuff. It is good of what you've shared. It does look pretty sharp, Scott. Again, I'm not so sure that you necessarily need to, when you're giving reports, when anyone's giving reports to the board, it doesn't need to be gone through minute by minute unless you're doing something specifically for the public, to present to the public. Because the public has the same ability to read this stuff just like the trustees did prior to our meeting. So Karen, I disagree with you a little bit, because the idea isn't to go through every report that we see that's on here. But go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the feedback and comments. Yeah, I'll leave it. There are a couple of pages. Each department has a budget page and then sort of a overall facts page and then some ongoing projects. So certainly it's all there available. Stacey will make that public on ESP.
Any other questions for Scott about his report? Thanks, nice work, Scott. I'm going to go on to board business. So COVID costs update, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So we've been doing this on a monthly basis again. Something very important to keep track of. We're trying to obviously control our financial position, given some of the things we're talking about and seeing across the province in terms of increased salary costs potentially. So just an update. I've been pretty conservative in terms of making sure we project out enough costs. So it's been kind of a theme over the last few months. My projections are kind of changing every month, and actually for the better for us, because I want to make sure that I'm not projecting costs to be too low and then all of a sudden we run out of funding. So as of March 31st of 2021, when I prepared and submitted the Safe Schools funding report, we have resources available of about 3.1 million between our cost underruns savings last year and funding this year. We're projecting out to spend about 2.88 million. So we're looking at being on the plus side of the ledger in terms of COVID costs to the tune of about $229,000. Derek did mention in his presentation, again, the security intercom systems, the door systems that we're looking at putting into our facilities and our priority for administrators are something that we would look at expending out some of this COVID funding. We're keeping, again, a close eye on where we're at in terms of financial projections, just to make sure we can afford to do that, because it has been identified as a priority. The other piece is, if you recall, I just wanted to give an update. Back in February, the board did approve a resolution directing me to go ahead and expend funds from 3 different pots of money. There was some unexpended budgeted expenditures of $405,000. Obviously, the aforementioned COVID funding that we've received from the province. And then we have an ICT reserve of about $288,000 that we're looking to go ahead and spend. If you recall, there were priority lists submitted mostly from maintenance and from ICT on how to spend that out. So I've given a bit of an update. Again, I like to err on the side of caution. I haven't really looked too heavily at spending the budgeted amount of $405,000. Again, I want to make sure we're in a pretty safe position in terms of staying in the black at year end with an eye towards future salary costs. So, as we get closer to year end and we have a better idea of where we're going to be at in terms of a surplus in our projections, we would potentially look at spending some of that out, but I haven't yet. In terms of COVID funding, you'll see I've given direction to spend some of that out on ICT upgrades, as well as Derek's video intercom system. And then we did get approval at the last board meeting to go ahead and spend out some of that ICT reserve. And a lot of that has been shooed out the door already with Gord's lightning mitigation strategies, some wide area network tower upgrades, and then school devices, and he's got some other priorities lined up for that. So I just wanted to give you an update as to where we stand with those pots of money.
Thank you. Any questions for Scott?
Trustee Duma, a question. What happened with the proposal for the money regards to the heating systems at the Dougal daycare? Did that get put someplace else, or?
Yeah, I'll have to run that by Derek. Yeah, that was simply an in and out. We did receive, if I remember correctly, Dan, it was $26,500 simply to pay for a study performed by Integrated Designs on the efficacy of the HVAC systems in not only ours, but several of those template sort of cookie cutter daycares. I believe last time I spoke to Derek, they were on the cusp of receiving some final results for that. So once we get that, I can certainly bring that back to the board. But I haven't included it in these pots of money.
But that was money that we were getting back from the province, correct?
Correct. PSFB, now Central Services, did agree to fund that study.
Any other questions for Scott? So Scott, I kind of got mixed messages with regard to the video doors. Derek said that it was probably June 30th. You had mentioned it twice. Once you said you had given the go ahead, but once you said you're not quite sure whether we're going to have the money to go ahead and do that. Can I get an understanding of that?
Yeah, no, at one point I wasn't sure that we were going to have the money to do that. So, we're pretty safe now. I've given Derek the go ahead. So he is working on that. As you can imagine, for 19 facilities, 13 facilities of public schools, there's a lot of planning on where we're putting the devices, how it all gets wired up. So it will take some time, but Derek is definitely moving forward on that now.
Okay, thank you, because that was a priority certainly with some of the board members. Thanks, Scott.
You bet.
Any others for Scott? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Scott, I think 8.2 is yours as well. Credit card update.
Yeah, I'll be super quick on this one. So again, if you recall back in, I have to pull up the item to remember the date. I believe it was in the fall. We were in October, correct? We were given approval by the board to go ahead and try out a pilot project to issue credit cards with a small credit facility to some of our schools to see how that works out. So we did select SCI and Edward Schreier. I forgot my accent aigu on Edward Schreier, so apologies for that. I guess the bottom line is right now, it's a hard time to assess how well it's going. When we entered into this pilot project, there were two key priorities that we were looking to address. We were doing a lot of purchasing from Amazon, largely because of pricing. You can source out some pretty significant savings on Amazon. We did not have an account to purchase items on Amazon on credit. We now do, so we no longer need to use a credit card for Amazon. The second piece is that it was kind of a bureaucratic. There was a lot of red tape involved booking travel for professional development. The teacher would select a course, set something up, then have to call the SBC to use our corporate credit card to book travel. Well, obviously, again, that's not happening a whole lot right now because nobody's traveling. There's no PD going on in a COVID environment. So, you know, the two key priorities we're looking at sort of fixing by issuing credit cards are not really factors any longer. So at this point, I'm not suggesting certainly that we stop the pilot project or we take them back. I just don't think it would be beneficial at this point expanding to other facilities, and we'll review it again, particularly when PD travel starts up again.
Thanks, Scott. Any questions for Scott? So Scott, when you're talking about reviewing it, are you talking that you're going to look to review it come June and come back to us again with something in June as to do it, or is this something that you're going to go into next year without with staying status quo?
I would suggest at this point, Paul, I don't believe we're going to have any travel before June, so I think this is probably something that we look at again in the fall.
Okay. So in the fall, are we talking about in August or September, or is this something that you're September, October, November, and see where we go?
Yeah, I would think, you know, once school startup begins, and I hope we're kind of back to a quasi-normal, we'll give it a couple of months, potentially September, October, to see how things go at SCI and Edward Schreyer, and then bring it back probably late fall, October or November.
So Stacy, can you put something in the minutes then, is that, and for an action item or a reminder for Scott is to come back to the board with a credit card update and process for the end of October?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So let's move on. 8.3 5-year capital plan updates. Scott?
Oh, I muted myself and then started talking. Yeah, so I'll go through this quick, and I apologize. I think there was some confusion. Stacy did get a call from a couple of trustees today. So we got a notice from the province that we are required to every year update and complete our 5-year capital plan. The item that is attached to this agenda item is not it. This is, I pulled this up when Derek presented. This is last year's capital plan. This will be our starting point, generally speaking. Derek will have items that move up in priority, things that get completed, they'll come off the list. So I just wanted to show you this as our starting point. Derek and Kathy and I will meet over the course of the next week to 10 days, update this if there are any more priorities. If priorities are identical to last year, what you'll see is these top 2 items that are in progress will come off the list and everything else will just move up 1. So I just wanted to give you an idea of where we're at. We'll obviously brainstorm about any other priorities we could add to this list, but this will be our starting point, and by the next meeting on the 20th, we'll be coming back to the board with a completed 5-year capital plan for this year.
Thank you. Any questions for Scott? Scott, you beat me to it because I was going to talk to you about number 13. Number 13 being the Oak Bank Bus Garage convert to a vocational facility. I know that was talked many moons ago. I'm not sure when's the last time that we've talked about it, but let's. I'll hold my comments until you come back to us with an updated one.
Sounds good. Thanks, Paul.
Trustee Duma just has a comment about the plan. I'm not sure that this suits the requirements of the plan, but was there any discussion from our previous meeting, Scott, about the parking in the Dugald area? Was there any discussion that came out of that? Is that part of a plan that you proposed to the government, money for parking, or no?
Yeah, it depends on cost, and I'll have to get some parameters from Derek. Kathy, you may know off the top of your head. There are certain projects we're expected to fund through Capital D funding, and then there are larger projects that are funded through the debenture program that from what used to be PSFB is now Central Services. So I believe it depends on cost, Trustee Dumas. So, you know, we can certainly jot that down and have that as part of our discussion. Kathy, do you know?
Depends on, yeah, it depends on cost, but it also depends on sort of the minimum requirements or the criteria. So if the government has met the minimum parking criteria and we want to go above and beyond something, and that goes true with any of the builds, if we want to upgrade something or make it a little above the minimum requirements, then that comes out of our funding, not the province's funding.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kath.
That's exactly what I was asking about. But the other piece too is, I think, just in terms of evaluating the safety piece of that with the increased population in that area. That's all. But thanks.
Thank you. We'll move on. 8.4, École Edward Schreyer School Grounds. Art, this was, Trustee Barry, this was put on here based on a comment that you made with regard to people on the grounds and using snowmobiles and ATVs and whatnot. So I know that you had made a comment about it and it's on there. Scott, refresh my memory as to, or Kathy, refresh my memory certainly about this, because I can remember when I was at Edward Schreyer School many moons ago. That's many moons ago. I know that kids were bringing their snowmobiles and four-wheelers to school. They would park them and then they're driving home. That's been going on for the longest time. And Kath, you can talk a little bit about that. And then certainly on there, what's attached is I guess the bylaw or whatever that's in town. So who wants to go ahead, Art?
Well, I think just for clarification, it's not to do with the students. Let's just get that clearly stated right now. It's not to do with the students whatsoever. It's to do with the some residents of the area have indicated to me that the public is bringing on snowmobiles and ATVs on the grounds, and it's a safety issues for our kids, for our students. So that's where I'm coming from this, and I attached the bylaw, the snowmobile bylaw in Beausejour. I was my tenure of council. I was on it when it was updated, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe it's snowmobiles and ATVs are allowed if they go on a direct route during, I think it's October to April 1st. My suggestion, I'll make a motion right now, Mr. Chairman, is that the town of Beausejour amend the snowmobile bylaw to not allow any motorized vehicle on any school property. That's where I'm coming from on this. If we don't do that today, fine, we can do that at the next meeting in April. I'm okay with that. But I'm just requesting that we send a letter to the town of Beausejour Council for them to amend the bylaw.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Kath.
Has this been brought to the attention of the administrators of the school? Because I haven't heard anything from them or from the public. So I'm just wondering have we brought it to their attention or got any information yet from them?
It was the public that brought it to my attention, and I think we have to have, it's a safety issue for our students. So I don't see why we wouldn't write a letter to the town of Beausejour to make sure that no motorized vehicle are on school property. That's, to me, is pretty black and white. Like, so lots of people have indicated to me they've seen snowmobiles and ATVs go on property where our students are there.
So, Pachkowski, I have a question.
Go ahead, Art. Go ahead, Jared.
So
I had a question.
Yeah. So my question is, according to the map, there already is a bylaw that says that no vehicles can be on the school property. So, I mean, because the school properties are within the zone of no off-roading vehicles. So I'm just confused as to why would be writing the town a letter, and then just to go further on to what Superintendent Timko had said, is that if it's a public concern, then the public should be going directly to the town. Why are they coming to the school division?
Well, okay, I don't have their bylaw in front of me. If that's what it says, that's fine. I'm not going to dispute the wording of the bylaw. If that's what it says, I think it's it doesn't hurt us to write a letter to that. Then that the town of Beausejour have the appropriate authority. I believe they've hired a public firm to administer their bylaws to patrol and make sure that there are no vehicles on school properties.
Okay, so
and the people brought it forward to me because they know me. So okay. It's a safety issue.
So Trustee Barry, you've had a complaint from the public saying is that there's the public and they're driving their snowmobiles around just for sake on school property. So I think one of the things that if you've got a complaint, process should be is that we go to the school principal and find out from the school principal, do you know what are there issues with people I'm going to use the term ripping around on school property, because I do know that we have students that bring their stuff to school, bring their ATVs or their snowmobiles to school, and this has been going on for quite some time. So I think the first process would be is that we should go to the school principal, find out from the school principal as to what's up with regard to, are there problems with people ripping around on school property? I can tell you that when I was a principal at a school, if there was somebody ripping around, I would often call the police and say, hey, catch these guys if you can, to go ahead and do that. And kind of go from there as a school principal. Kathy, did you want to add anything to that? Am I offside with that comment?
No, I think that's exactly what our school principals would do if there was any issue on the school grounds, whether that was legal or a safety hazard. I mean, they would contact the proper authorities, but they would have to know about it. So I think you're dead on. Contact the school principal and they can contact the authorities if they need to.
Okay, so right now Trustee Barry has got a complaint and he's brought it here, but really what we should be doing is, and he's making everybody aware of it. Thanks, Art, for going ahead and doing that. But Art should be getting a hold of Lonnie and talking to Lonnie and saying, hey, I'm hearing that people are ripping up and down. You know what, with ATVs and dangerous for students. And that would be our first step. Let Lonnie go back. If Lonnie then comes to you, Kath, and says that there's a problem, you're going to come back to us and say, guess what, on behalf of the board, we're going to write a letter about going ahead and doing that. That would be our process. Is that right, Kath?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Trustee Barry, you okay with that?
I still think we're missing. I think we should, this is the safety of our kids, of our students.
Well, let's find out let's go to the principal, Art, and let's talk to the principal.
I know these people aren't lying to me. They've seen the snowmobiles and ATVs right by students. It wasn't a student driving, it was a member of the public. I know these people. So why would we know what's happening. Yes, they're not allowed there. So we'll go to the town of Beausejour and ask them to patrol it with their community safety company that they've hired. To me, it's pretty black and white. It's their student safety.
So the thing about student safety would be that our principal's job during the school day, no matter what the issue would be, to look after the safety of students, because they're the first people who are going to see that. If there's a safety issue on grounds during the school day, those kids are coming flying to the office to let the principal know. So they do have to be in the loop of that communication so that they can contact the authorities and can get the issue solved right away. I think that's the first line of defense with any safety issue in our schools.
Well, I think we're not doing it proper. We should. These people have notified me. We have to take it seriously. To me, we're not putting the safety of the kids. That's just my opinion. It's doing another layer of bureaucracy that really isn't necessary.
Okay, so Art, if you want to put a notice of motion forward that you want to bring a motion up at our next meeting to do that, you can certainly do that.
Okay.
So Stacy, please put in that Art wants to put a notice of motion in about contacting the town of Beausejour with regard to people with the public driving on our school grounds and putting students' safety at risk.
Will do.
Thank you.
It's Trustee Paczkowski. Can I just make one more comment?
Yeah.
So, you know, and this is with all due respect. So we talk about different levels of bureaucracy and slowing up the process, because I think we all agree that, you know, safety is a paramount thing in our division. We want all our students to be safe. So I think the quickest way to deal with it is just what was just said by a few people, is to go back to those people and tell them to contact the school and or contact the town directly, or both is probably best, instead of waiting 2 weeks for us to make a motion to send a letter to the town.
Well, I agree with you. So I think in the meantime, Kathy is going to go ahead and talk to the school principal, because she's heard something tonight, and she's going to find out, you know, if there's a real big issue, because you know what? Yes, if people are driving around, and Art has said that, let's get the town to go ahead and do that. But the right way is let's get the principal to call them.
Well, yes, Mr. Chairman, I did mention to them that they should contact the town of Beausejour. I think we should be proactive ourselves as a school division to also contact them.
So we'll bring you an update next time that we get together, and you've got a notice of motion that's in there as well. Thanks, Trustee Barry. 8.5 is our school calendar. Kathy?
So last meeting I brought to you a draft calendar. This is now a final calendar, and I'm looking for a motion so that we can send that to the province for approval. I think the wording of the motion is...
Yeah, so be it resolved that the board approve the school calendar for the 2021-22 school year as presented. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by?
Paczkowski.
Seconded by?
Harris.
Thank you. Any comments to the motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote.
Come on, guys, can't you vote?
Just remember, if some of you have your mics on, we can hear you. So we're just waiting on you, Trustee Barry. Art, are you able to vote? Art, are you able to vote? Art, are you there? Sorry, just waiting on Art. Trustee Barry? Thank you. It passed 9-0. We are on school calendar. Adult ed principal. Be it resolved that the board offer the position of the adult ed principal as recommended by the superintendent. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by
Roland.
Trustee Roland, seconded by
Harris.
Trustee Harris. Any conversation to this? We discussed this in camera. Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 9-0. Thank you for going ahead and doing that. And thanks for Kathy for bringing us that information. Long Service and Retirement Center, Kathy?
Yeah, so last year we were in the midst of the beginning of the pandemic, and we had a virtual long service and recognition evening, and it worked really, really well in terms of our pandemic infancy. Typically what happens is that each of our union presidents meets together with myself at the division, and we look for one trustee rep so that we can do some planning around our long service and retirement recognition. So I'm looking for a trustee who would like to meet with our union presidents to do some planning around our long service and retirement if we have one virtually this year.
Any takers?
Trustee Duma is interested, and I don't think it has to be only one trustee.
No. Trustee Duma, anyone else?
I'm interested also.
Trustee Nicol, thank you. Anyone else? Well, Kathy, you've got two, so there you go.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Board reports. So I asked Kathy to put this on after the conversation that we had with Colleen the other day during our learning session with regard to what kind of information that we're looking for. Diane Duma, you were talking a little bit about it, about what we could be going ahead and looking for. My suggestion is I would love us to each, share a little bit as to kind of what are some of the things we're eventually need to come to a decision as to what our group is. My suggestion is we have a learning session next Tuesday, April the 13th, and this be one of the topics with regard to us trying to finalize what board reports we're looking for from our senior administration. But I would love to people to weigh in as what Diane even started talking about what we'd be looking for from our senior administration. So very quickly, if anybody has anything off the top of the head, go ahead and do that. But otherwise, Tuesday, April the 13th, are you okay about this being one of our topics for our learning session? So I'm going to go around table very quickly. Robin?
So from our title of this board reports, I wasn't quite clear what it was about. Now I know. I think that I would need time to come up with something, and to do that for April 13th would be good. At policy, we were looking at the idea of coming up with a policy on monitoring reports. So this ties into that. It's something that we were going to start, well, not start, we were going to have our third or fourth discussion on it come this Thursday at our policy meeting. If we're going to talk about it next week as a board, then at policy, I'm going to postpone that discussion till after the board has looked at it more closely then. But I would suggest that we each come up with our thoughts on what we want to hear for reports from admin, and we do discuss it at a learning session, and next Tuesday is a good time for that. Thanks.
Thanks, Robin. Russ? Russ, are you there?
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking, but nothing was coming out.
That's all right.
So the one option is to have a meeting on the 13th before the policy meeting. Is that it? And well, I pretty much concur with what Robin said, actually. So
okay, perfect. Thanks, Russ. Dawn?
13th, fine with me.
Okay. Art?
Yeah, 13th is okay.
Karen?
Yep, 13th is fine with me.
Dan Rowland?
Yes, 13th is great, thanks.
Diane Duma?
Of course, I could talk about it right now, but I will be patient and wait till the 13th.
Thank you. Jarrett?
Yes, the 13 works great. Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like we know what our topic is. So I would say that it makes, thanks for Robin for reminding me about people come prepared with what are the type of things that we're looking for information in reports as to kind of what Colleen talked about. And then again, coming back to administration and see what's possible and looking for information. So we'll all run that meeting, and we'll have a little bit of organization and try to get out get a consensus, and then they'll know exactly what we're looking for. 8.9 is Bill 64, Sunrise Response and Implications. As discussed a little bit earlier, it's what are we looking at doing as a board for Bill 64. Again, one of the things that we've done is we've asked for meeting with our MLAs. What kind of information should we be putting out to our parents and to our ratepayers in the area? Diane had brought up that Seine River is having a town hall. Should we be talking about having some town halls? And this could be, in May or June. This also can be September and October. Those are all the things for us to go ahead and be thinking about what our position should be. This is something that we could also do at a learning session as well, for us to go ahead and share what are some of our positions are. I'd also just, instead of going round table, I just leave it open to anybody's thoughts on this, on what Sunrise responses and should be to Bill 64. Anyone?
Yes, I just think that we shouldn't even worry about discussing it tonight because it's a big topic. So I think that we should have a learning session on it and dispense talk about it tonight.
Okay, thanks, Don. Anyone else?
Russ, I tend to agree. The learning session would be good. I like the town hall idea as well, though.
Okay, thanks, Russ. Anyone else?
Trustee Duma, I agree with having a learning session on it too. And the town hall has to be driven by us having our heads together on what it is all about. And I don't think we're ready for a town hall at all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Trustee Rowland here. Would have to agree that we would need a session to do a proper planning and come together with a complete plan on what we'd like to go forward with, whether that included a town hall or not, but definitely need to strategize together.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So it looks like certainly the town hall is an idea. We'll put our heads together about going ahead and doing that. I will share that MSBA has come out with a PowerPoint for people to use, tweak, whatever with regard to town halls. That is something that I'll share with people as to if that's something that we would want to go ahead and use. A number of the school divisions are getting some help to putting that together, but we'll put our heads together certainly about through a learning session and go from there. Thank you. 8.10 is our policy committee update. Chair Harris, floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul. I see by our time estimates we're ahead of schedule, so I'll only talk for a little while.
Go for it.
3 items. Firstly, policy has a meeting this coming Thursday. Secondly, we recently as a board passed a motion that we would promote local purchasing within the school division. And I would like to point out that on the Sunrise School Division's website, as of March 17th, there is a call for interest notice has been placed on there asking for local vendors to contact Sunrise School Division. We are creating a database of our vendors who would like to provide services and products and so on within the division. So for the public, please check on our website and contact, the information is on there as to who to contact by phone or email and get your name into our database. Thirdly, we recently did have a learning session with Colleen. That's been mentioned a couple of times. And through that, we were looking at our decision-making matrix. And one of the items thought that she suggested to us, and I'll read this, it says, this document should be taken out of policy and wording put in place to show that it is under review. So I'd just like to get feedback from the board on that, I agree with that we are reviewing it for a few months anyway, and that we should put some kind of notice in our in its place on the website to let the public know that it is currently under review. So comments on that. Do we need a motion to have that happen? What are the thoughts?
Floor is open for anybody.
Trustee Duma, yes, I think we need a motion. And when you have the policy manual that we have that matrix is in it, we can just put a circle around it or a statement across it in red that says under review. Often that's reflected on policies. You just put it across the page. You put a date on it or something. Like she suggested we revisit it in January for a full motion of 2022, I believe, is what her suggestion was. We could consider that date or something else. But yes, definitely, if you're going to change a policy, what it does, you do have to put a motion forward, and it could easily be put into the policy manual to reflect that it's under review.
Thanks, Diane. So we'll have a notice of motion tonight then, and we'll bring that forward at our next meeting, the formal motion to have that happen.
Any other comments people want to share with Robin?
I guess the one question that I would have is, because it's a living document, we have to figure out how we're going to use the comments that come across the table and how we use this in our working experience at the board table. So for example, if something comes up to the table and we're wondering whose decision is it, or where the matrix is used, and suddenly we come up with a discussion at the table that moves some topic into another column, who's going to keep a record of that, I guess, and who's going to be the record keeper of the next year's ideas? That's my question.
So as chair of policy, I would suggest that policy manage that, but I can add that to our agenda for this Thursday, and we'll just have a quick discussion of policy. But I would think that would be the logical way of that happening.
Yeah, as long as someone's assigned to the task, and so we know somebody's, got that notes on the side of their meetings that's saying we're going to look at this, so that we actually come to changing it and making a motion, we're clear on what we're doing and what we previously discussed.
Right. So if everyone is okay with that, I'll suggest then that policy manage that. So we'll have a long straw vote on Thursday as to which one of our members will be in charge.
Robin, I like the idea, certainly as policy, to look at and to get that policy that's in front of us, or that document that's in front of us from Colleen, whether we can put it into life and go from there. Good idea. Anybody else want to make a quick comment? Okay, hearing none, I think that what you've got. I think also that you've got a 8.11, a policy 17 amendment that's on here. Robin?
Right, so I was going to read the motion. I don't see one on there. Be it resolved that the board, what should the motion be? Sorry, I thought it was there.
That the board shall appoint an auditor, and the board will furnish a duly audited financial statement in summary available for the public pursuant compliance. The board shall appoint. That's
not mine. That's not this 8.11. Sorry.
Okay.
8.11 has to do with updating policy number 17, where we're changing the wording of a committee name. So, sorry, I missed that there was no motion actually there. Be it resolved that the board approve the suggested changes to policy number 17 as presented.
Okay. I need a seconder to that.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Don. So can you talk about, just very quickly, Robin, talk on that?
Right. So policy number 7, which is titled Board Operations, was reviewed in May of 2020, just about a year ago. And section 7.4 is titled Standing Committees. And inside there, it had at one time was called just the Audit Committee, but a year ago it was updated to read Audit/Finance Committee. So to make our new policy number 17 to comply with that, we need to change the word Audit Committee in 2 places to read Audit/Finance Committee. And the document that's attached shows those 2 changes highlighted in yellow.
Perfect.
So the whole idea is to bring it in line with a policy change from a year ago.
Okay. So we're gonna have to vote by hand here, I'm assuming, Stacy?
That is correct.
Okay. So any conversation to the motion? It's pretty straightforward.
Well,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that the motion is clear, that you're looking at changing the wording of policy 17 called audits. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so that in the second paragraph, you're changing the wording Audit Committee to Audit/Finance Committee in paragraph 2 and paragraph 3.
Correct.
Right. So, I mean, the motion has to reflect that's what we're doing. So if you can remember that, what I'm saying, and that is part of your motion, and that's what you're amending policy 17, those 2 paragraphs, sentence words.
Correct. Yes.
So Stacy, can you read back the motion?
Right now, I just have that be resolved, the board approves the changes to policy 17 as presented by the policy committee. So I would have to go back and find the paragraphs.
Well, I'm staring right at it, and so you're looking at paragraph 2 and paragraph 3, changing the word Audit Committee to Audit/Finance Committee in both paragraphs, and that's what you're changing.
Scott, Robin, you good with that?
Yes, I'd be cautious that if we're getting that specific on this motion for these 2 little changes, that any other motion to a change in any policies, if we do it this way now, we need to, in a motion, point out every single change to every single line and paragraph that's going on. I don't think we need to get that specific. I think we can simply say that that we're wanting to change policy 17 audits as presented to the board.
Yeah, that's not how policies are changed, though, or reviewed. I mean, we can do it, but it's not the correct way to do it. But like, there's a procedure to actually amend your policies and wording language. There's a procedure for it, and it's much more substantial than just as presented.
Okay, I can withdraw the motion and we will come up with a new motion for our next meeting.
Well, we have the motion on the floor. I guess if you want to withdraw it, and Dawn, you want to withdraw it, that's fine. I was okay the way that you were put it forward, Robin. I know Trustee Duma didn't like it. We can have.
I mean, this is a simple one for sure. It's not a big change. It doesn't have a lot of issues with it. But down the road, when you make significant changes to policies, you really have to be clear on your wording. And the other part of the policy review committee is that it's not just coming to the board with recommended changes to the wording. It might be one part of it, but it's also for the board to say, is there anything else that you'd like looked at on the policy? Too, the board can also give the policy committee feedback.
Okay, but I think that Robin and the committee came forward today with saying is that policy 17 is audits, and as presented to us, they want to change 2 words. Instead of saying the board shall appoint an audit committee, they want to change it to an audit finance committee. It's no big deal. Let's get it done. I think that we get it done because that's how they presented it. So let's get it done because it's not a big deal that way. I think, Diane, if there's things that are more detailed, absolutely. But I think that that's totally fine for us to move forward with it. There's no use in us coming back to the same thing.
I agree. It's not worth holding back on it too. I agree with you.
Any other comments? Because I want to call this motion. Okay, so I'm going to call round table. Jared, what do you say?
Yes.
Dan Rollins?
Yes.
Karen?
Yep.
Art?
Yeah.
Don?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Diane Duma?
I agree with the changes, but after the vote, could I just make a statement?
Yeah, I'm looking for your vote right now.
Just point of order, choose the.
No, I said yes.
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
no, but the motioner is the person who gets to speak last to that motion.
Well, we're already voting on this. Robin?
Yes.
And Paul's yes. So it passed 9-0. Okay. Diane, what did you want to say?
Just a comment for the policy committee in regards to this policy. If you read the third paragraph where it speaks to the audit finance committee shall meet annually with the appointed external auditor, both to receive and review matters that may be reported by the auditor and to receive and review the audited financial statements. You might want to have a look at that because it is not just the audit finance committee that does that. It's actually referred to the board. So I wondered if you could look at the language in there to make sure that it doesn't appear that it's the only audit finance committee that reviews and receives the report from the auditor.
Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. They'll take a look at it. Let's go to 8.12, Finance Committee update. Chair Rowland, floor is yours.
All right. We did meet as the committee on March 25th, and we did review the check register, and we do have a motion today to accept that register.
So be it resolved that the board received the February 2021 check register with a total amount of checks issued at $3,203,924.04, reviewed on March the 25th by the Finance Committee. For information, motion by Trustee Rowland, seconded by?
Reed.
Trustee Reed. Any questions to it? Hearing none, we'll vote. So 8 in favor and 1 is opposed. Thank you. Diane Rowland, is there anything else that you wanted to add from the Finance Committee?
I just wanted to add that I have the check signing authority for this month. And at the moment, that's all. Thank
you. Thank you for sharing. 9.0 is professional development. So we did have the MSBA annual conference. It was a half-day conference, so trustees, you can certainly claim for a half-day for the conference. But is there anybody want to do some, was there any ahas from the conference that people attended? Floor is open. Anyone?
I know that, this is Trustee Duma speaking. I know that I'm not concerned about this half-day rate, but there was a lot in that AGM, whatever, the conference that got excluded, which later on in the afternoon, I looked at stuff that was on the website that wasn't part of the morning procedure, such as the speeches, etc., that were given, which we didn't talk about. So I did spend other time looking at some of the stuff that we didn't actually participate in and part of the conference. So I thought, because there's other stuff on that was going on that just didn't become part of that morning session. So I just thought I would add that in. And that's all.
Anyone else?
I believe on the expense form that we received, it was a full day.
Okay, well, we didn't go for a full day. I know that people might have done some work on their own, and that's up to everybody. That's up to individuals. But we attended a half-day conference.
No, but what I'm saying, on the expense form that was sent out, I believe it was marked as a full day.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Anyone else want to comment on the MSBA conference? Okay,
I would
hearing
invite,
none.
I would invite the chair to make any comments.
I was disappointed that MSBA went from a full day conference to a half day conference because of the minister's the report that came out. I really would have liked to have met with our region members. I would have liked to have met with people from Lakeshore and Interlake and Evergreen and Lord Selkirk. The last time I went to one of these conferences, it was very interesting listening to what they're talking about in the other school divisions. And I was kind of hoping that we were going to go ahead and go into breakout rooms and meet with people and have those conversations. I remember all of you sitting around at tables and very engaged when we were in person doing this. So I was really disappointed that they decided not to go ahead and do that, because I think that it was a time where there was going to be lots of talk and sharing. And it was lots about finding out what other school divisions are doing. I think that we learn lots from when we go out there and find out what some of them are doing. Some of it we want to copy, and some of it we wouldn't want to go ahead and do at all. So I was disappointed with that for sure, Diane. I thought there was value in learning and listening from others, and everybody had taken a full day to go ahead and organize themselves, and all of a sudden turned into a half day. I wasn't pleased. That's my position.
And I 100% agree with you. I was also disappointed too. Yeah.
Because did I learn from other school divisions? Yes. Do superintendents, when they get together and listen to the other superintendents and other secretary treasurers? Yep, they certainly learn. I was disappointed. Anyways. And you know what? I will share, not on behalf of Sunrise, because this is just my opinion, but I will share with MSBA that Paul Mangan, the trustee, was disappointed.
You can include Trustee Duma in that.
Okay. Anybody else want to share?
I'd just like to, the only thing I'd like to say is I was unable to attend due to a family issue.
Yeah. Do you know what, Art? We understand that totally, and certainly you need to take care of those situations. Understood totally.
The conference itself was very restrictive. Lots of things were shortened and canceled in terms of even the resolutions that were initially put on the table. So it didn't feel like it was our conference. I felt like it was MSBA's conference, not ours.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on. 10.1, financial monitoring report. Be it resolved that the board adopt the financial monitoring report for the month ending February 2021, reviewed by the Finance Committee on March 25th. Diane Rowland, did you want to move that?
Yes.
Moved by Diane Rowland, seconded by?
I'll second it, Russ.
By Trustee Reed. Any questions to the monitoring report? Hearing none, we'll vote. Did Don get kicked out of our meeting? Oh, no, he's there. So 6 in favor and 3 are opposed. Thank you. Where are we? Monitoring report, board correspondence. So there's a number of correspondence that are there. You've seen the information I'm sharing with you, as many of the stuff that's coming through to us. So you've seen a lot of the correspondence that is going on from Manitoba Education and from MSBA. We have meetings coming up, so we do have, just so you our divisional PAC meeting is not going to go on Thursday, April the 8th. We do have a learning session on Tuesday, April 13th. I will get information to you by Friday with regard to what we're doing with that, but you certainly can know that we are going to be going ahead and talking about board reports for sure. We're still working on, and we'll sit down with Kathy and talk a little bit about what a trustee tour potentially could look like, and we'll keep everybody apprised of trustee tour. So that's kind of the information that their next board meeting is April the 20th. Scott, do we have any questions on the agenda from the public?
I do not have any emails, Paul.
Trustee Duma here. Do we need to make a motion that rescinds our prior motion that we were having meetings in person? Do we have to do something with that other motion we made at the last meeting?
Good
Because
point.
because of that, yeah, just because we got that emergency renewal order, whatever.
Kathy or Scott, suggestions on what we do, because we did say that we would go and meet in person, and then certainly from everybody talking is that we've decided now to go remote. Do we need? Go ahead.
I was just, it is a valid question for sure. I just can't remember the exact wording on the motion, but I want to say that we left it open for, so I'll say flexibility based off of what was happening around us. So
Stacey, do you have the?
That's how I thought it was worded.
The wording then? Do you have the wording of our last motion, Stacey?
I am just trying to look it up. If you give me 1 minute, please.
You're awesome. Kathy or Scott, do you know exactly what the motion was to meet in person, and then we decided we called around and the consensus from a vast majority was not to do it through Teams.
I'm just going to look at, I'm sure I'm doing the same as Stacey's doing, just looking at the minutes for the exact wording.
We were going to review on a monthly basis.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, sorry. Be it resolved that the board reconvene in-person meetings effective immediately to be reviewed on a monthly basis.
Okay, so we're now meeting via Teams. So the question is, I'm assuming that we need a motion to say that we are going to be meeting, that we're going to be meeting electronically until further notice, reviewed monthly. Would we need to put? Go ahead, Kath.
There's a bit about notice of motion is required to rescind an existing motion within 1 year. The motion arising from the notice must be passed by a majority of the whole of the board. This is part of your operational bylaw. So if the motion to rescind passes, new action may be taken if desired. So I don't know if you want, to rescind the motion necessarily, or just make a new motion, from here forward that would override the one that you did last time.
So why don't I?
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
So we made the motion in March. We're reviewing in our first meeting in April, and we've decided that we're going to be meeting in person. Like there was no date on there. Like there was no that we're going to continue meeting in person forever. Like it said, reviewable by month. We are a month later now. Maybe not in calendar days, but we are in the next calendar month. And why can't we just make a note that we're at this after review, we're now going back to reverting to meeting via Teams.
Okay, so how do we put that down in minutes?
Well, I think we should still have a motion, Mr. Chairman, that going forward, we're meeting on Teams until further notice.
You could say that the board, be it resolved, the board reviewing motion blank, blank, blank from the last meeting, give it the number for that motion. And following the emergency orders letter from the province, the board will have meetings on Teams until further notice. So be it resolved upon review of motion blank, 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 and the receipt of the renewal of emergency orders from the province, the Sunrise School Division Board of Trustees, etc., will be meeting via Teams until further notice.
Reviewed on a monthly basis.
Sure.
How'd you do, Stacey?
I will definitely be reviewing the tape to get all the wording on that one.
Okay, so generally we have
Especially my blank, blank, blank.
so generally we have the context about that we are going to go back meeting via Teams, and thanks for everybody that answered those questions when we asked, and we'll continue to review it on a monthly basis. So that's the gist of everything, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Kathy, are we okay by doing that?
Yeah, I think we're okay. There is stuff in your operational bylaw about rescinding or reversing decisions, but I think in the emergency situation of a pandemic, that's an understandable thing that you would just have a motion that is given the new information, as Diane said. You know, you need to revisit that.
I kind of like what Jared said, is that now in the month of we're now in the month of April, and in the month of April we said we would review it on a monthly basis.
Like I don't understand if that's what I'm saying. Like according to our bylaws, we really shouldn't be making another motion. So we can just say, and I don't know how to document it, but we can just say our review in April determined that we're going to be back in Teams, and that's still in keeping with our original motion. I don't understand.
I prefer that there's a motion on it that's in the minutes, similar to what Trustee Dumas said. That to me is the most logical way to do it.
Well, and what it does is it ties the two motions together. We made an action item that said we could look at it. So now we're saying we are looking at it based on our previous motion. And now we've decided this. So there's tying them together, and we're not really changing anything. We're doing what the other motion said we could do.
I think that you're right. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's not spend any more time on it. We have a motion on the floor by Trustee Duma, seconded by
Pachkowski.
Trustee Pachkowski, that we are going to review on a monthly basis. We're going to review on a monthly basis as we meet in Teams. We all prefer to meet face to face, but part of it is where everybody understands why we're going ahead and doing that. So I do need to take a call for everybody. Jared, are you yes? Sorry, Jared, how do you say?
Yes.
Dan Rowland?
Yes.
Trustee Inslee?
Yeah.
Trustee Barry?
Yeah.
Trustee Nicol?
Yes.
Trustee Reed?
Yes.
Trustee Duma?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Manio's a yes. And again, many of you have contacted me. You prefer to meet face to face. I understand that totally. But we made a decision based on a number of things that we went ahead and shared. So Scott, I'm asking you, so I don't know if I asked you, but questions? Did you say there was no questions?
No questions, correct, Paul.
And Scott, can you take a look at it? 14.1 says questions from the public on agenda items. Can we make sure that we get that to questions from the public?
Actually, we mentioned that at agenda. We'll make sure that's corrected.
No worries. Okay, so we do need to move in camera. We probably are going to have something come out of in camera. So Kathy, the process for us to go back into in camera now?
So we are going to leave this meeting. Everybody's got a little leave button up in the top right-hand corner, and we are going to rejoin a non-public meeting in our Teams, the same one we had at 6 o'clock. And from there, we can finish the business that we didn't get to at 6 o'clock. We have to leave here and go rejoin that one.
Okay,
just a comment. I wonder, is the public going to be able to join our next meeting?
We're just working on the kinks of that right now and trying to get a meeting link up there. We're going to try to keep this one open for right now.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be able to keep this one open. So when we're done in camera, come back to the 7 o'clock meeting room. I'll invite many of you if you can't make it in, and it should still be open.
Let's get out of here and let's go from there.
Good luck.
I'm gonna need it. gather I'm in the right place?
You are, and we are still live, so everything we say now is still being broadcast out to the public, folks.
Oh,
So I
okay.
just want to confirm about who we all have all here. Just Trustee Duma, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Inslee?
Yeah, and can I just mention something? We didn't vote on the financial monitoring report. It was missed. It was an action point. I don't recall. We did the check register, but there was an action for the financial monitoring report.
Okay, we'll come back and check it.
Okay.
We voted on
I
that.
think you did it with 6-3.
Trustee Barry?
What are we voting on now? I just joined.
No, I just want to check and make sure that you're here.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Trustee Harris?
Still here.
Trustee Pachakowski?
I'm here.
Trustee Reed?
Here.
Trustee Rowland?
I am here.
And Trustee Nickel?
I'm here.
Okay, so thanks everybody. We're back from being in camera, and I do believe that we have two things that we want to go ahead and deal with, and we're going to have to obviously go ahead and deal with them manually. So the first thing is these are agendas from these are items from in camera. So this is section 17. So we have two items from in camera. The first one is, Scott, there's a motion. Can you help us with that?
Yeah, so I'll read off. I've sent this to Stacy, so she'll have it recorded. I'll read it off. Be it resolved that the board approve the engagement of a realtor to dispose of the Sunrise surplus property as recommended by the Secretary Treasurer in camera on April 6, 2021.
So I need a mover to that motion
Pachkowski.
and a second to that. Don Nichols, thank you. Thank you. Any questions to the motion? Okay, Stacy, I'm assuming I'm doing this, that I need to go ahead and do this manually.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Jared, how do you say?
Yes.
Diane Rowland?
Yes.
Karen, Trustee Inslee?
Yeah.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Nickel?
Yes.
Trustee Reed?
Yes.
Trustee Duma?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
And Trustee Magno is a yes. That's 9-0. Thank you for that. And we have another motion that's on the floor. But before we go there, I need to declare a conflict of interest, and it's with regard to the STA teachers. So I would prefer that that Vice Chair Pachakowski, you take the lead on this, because I have a conflict of interest in dealing with negotiations with STA. Is there anyone else that wants?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Russ.
I also have to excuse myself from this discussion because of family conflicts.
Okay, so you have a conflict as well. Okay, so Trustee Pachakowski, can you take the lead on this, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So we have another motion that came from in camera, and I'll go ahead and read the motion. The motion is, be it resolved, the board approve the corral as discussed in camera, April 6th, 2021, in relation to the collective bargaining process with the Sunrise Teachers Association. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Trustee Nickel moves. Do I have a seconder?
Trustee Rowland.
Trustee Rowland seconds. And I will go through votes here. Or is there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, then I'll call the question. Trustee Harris, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Duma, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Nichol, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Barry, how do you say?
No, I'd feel more comfortable, Mr. Chairman, if we had a mandate from the province on this issue.
Thank you, Trustee Barry. Trustee Inslee, how do you say?
Okay, yeah.
Trustee Rowland, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Magnon,
I'll abstain.
Trustee Reid,
Abstain.
and myself is a yes. So the motion passed. We have 6 yeses, 1 no, and 2 abstentions. I'll hand the chair back over to Trustee Magnon.
Thanks, Trustee Petrikowski. I think that those are all the items from in camera. Kathy, Scott, have we missed anything?
No, I think you're good, Paul.
I believe you're good.
Motion to adjourn. Motion by?
Patrickowski.
I'll move it.
All right.
All right.
Trustee Barry, we're gonna get you in there. Motion to adjourn. Anyways,
Okay.
everyone, stay safe. Have
Okay,
a good
good
one.
night.
Thanks for going ahead and doing that. Thanks,
Have a good night,
staff. We appreciate it.
Good night, everyone.
All right. All right.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.